a new president at the 25th National Congress held at the University of Johannesburg, Soweto Campus yesterday. The recent local government elections have shown that Azapo needs to refresh itself to enable it to meaningfully contest for power. We are joined now by President Nelvis Qekema. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. I guess congratulations are in order. In terms of the business of Azapo, what is it that you envisage needs to be done, firstly, to rebrand the party, if a rebranding does need to happen?
Thank you very much, Mzamo, and the viewers. Well, I must say that I've never been rejuvenated and re-energized as I am today, and all of us in Azapo, because you know, our membership, despite the challenges that are out there, it really descended upon Johannesburg, and then to give us a mandate, and that mandate is very clear. That mandate is to rebrand Azapo, reposition Azapo. You know, Azapo should never be associated with smallness. Azapo should never be associated with inactivity. Azapo should never be associated with silence and being muted or inactivity. We should turn Azapo around, and Azapo should be an action-oriented organization, and Azapo should be an organization that is everywhere. We must massify Azapo. There must be structures of Azapo wherever black people exist, and particularly in the rural areas and where the workers and the peasants are. And this is the type of mandate that we've been given, and the mandate that says we need to innovate and change the systems internally in Azapo, since that Azapo is an organization that is able to respond to the challenges of the time. It is now a fact that we're in an electoral democracy, and Azapo is an organization that should ensure that we are able to mainstream black consciousness. Black consciousness must not only be a philosophy that is just living, but it must be seen in living in terms of being a governing philosophy, in terms of it being a ruling philosophy. So therefore, this philosophy needs to be lifted off and out of the organization and be taken to the communities, taken to the people, taken to the streets. The people must feel the championing on of Azapo, championing the struggles. And so therefore, Azapo needs to be a contender for power.
And the devil is in the detail, I guess. How do you plan to achieve this?
Well, it is simple. What Congress has said is that first of all, we need to make sure that we are not going to be people that are going to complain that we do not have the money. We need to have the resources. We need to make sure that we have the resources in terms of being able to identify sources of financing, sources of funding, first of which is to be able to do it on our own, our membership, our supporters, our communities, in terms of crowdfunding. And then we should also be able now to venture into other areas in terms of business and enterprises, where we ensure that Azapo has the kind of financial independence or sovereignty that Azapo needs to have, because you cannot be depending on other people or other sources of people with whom, as Azapo, you might be having problems ideologically, yet you still want funding from them. We need to be careful on that area, but also it has been said to us that there needs to be branches or structures of Azapo, particularly in areas where Azapo has not been there, particularly in the remote rural areas. We need to reach out put up structures. And that is not going to happen only on the last minute, on the last hour, because there is voting happening. That needs to happen now and be with our people, but also of importance, as Azapo is saying, we realize that this mammoth task cannot be done by one force and in isolation, but we also need to get into like-minded forces or organizations where we come together not only...
Absolutely, Mr. Qekema, please allow me to come in here. You speak of reinvigorating black consciousness, if you will. What does black consciousness look like in 2021?
Well, black consciousness has not changed in 2021 because the circumstances of black people have not changed. If it is a fact that black people are still living in Mikuku and RDPs which undermine the dignity of black people, then their circumstances have not changed. If the schools of black children in the black communities and townships and villages, we still have 327 pit toilets. And not only that, but our children who go to schools at the age of 5 years are still dying in pit toilets. Then the circumstances of black consciousness has not changed. All that we need to do is to be able to re-articulate that message so that that message resonates with the voter, that message resonates with the resident, that message resonates with the citizen, so that these people can be behind this movement.
Mr. Nelvis Qekema is the newly elected Azapo president. We wish you well. Thank you, sir, for your time.